A very warm good evening to all of you, and hello to all our viewers. First of all, I would like to congratulate Mr. Manoj Krishnan and his team for their third ALS Lit Fest 2021. And let me express my sincere gratitude for giving us this prestigious platform to discuss about a very thought-provoking topic, that is representation of people with special needs in literature. I am Zeba, your host for today's discussion. I am from Ahmedabad, and today my esteemed panelists are Ms. Mary Barua and Mr. Kumar Vikram from New Delhi, and Ms. Monobina Chakravarti and Mr. Mihir Pillai from Ahmedabad. Thank you all of you for coming to our show. And let me introduce my first panelist, Mary Barua. She is a founder director of Action for Autism, which was started in 1991. She is an activist, special educator, and a passionate mother to a son blessed with autism. Mary started an autism movement in India when lack of information and misconception about this condition abounded. She has opened the first special school on the Indian subcontinent called Open Door. In addition to raising awareness and convincing the Indian government to include autism in the right of PWD Act, she has received many national and international awards. Mary is an Ashoka Fellow. She has received INSAR Advocate Award, Limca Book of Record People of the Year Award, Kiran Memorial Lifetime Award, IBN 7 Super Idol Award, Outstanding Volunteer Category Award UK, the Rising Star Award, Naturally Autistic People Award Canada, Asia Pacific Autism Award Australia, Heartspring Award USA, National Award for Best Service Institution by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India. So from being a mother who led to a movement in India, Mary, the special need community will always remain indebted to you and your service, which you have been providing since last 4 decades. Welcome, Mary ma'am. Welcome. My second guest for today's session is Mr. Kumar Vikram. He is a publishing editor, poet, translator, conversationalist, and blogger. For the last 2 decades, he has been working as a senior editor English with National Book Trust. He was invited by Sahitya Akademi as an emerging young poet and has read poetry at various platforms such as SARC Writers Forum, Indo-Estonian Literary Society, Indian Society of Authors, etc. He was awarded the prestigious Sakha Award for bringing together the book culture and mass media culture. Mr. Kumar has been a distinguished speaker at various national and international forums organized by International Digital Publishing Forum, Beijing International Book Fair, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, etc. He has also appeared on various panel discussions in electronic media such as Lok Sabha TV and Doordarshan. He was instrumental in organizing an exhibition at New Delhi World Book Fair 2019 on book for readers with special needs. Sir, we are privileged to have you as one of our esteemed panelists for today's discussion. Welcome, sir. My third guest is Monobina Chakravarti. She is an award-winning inclusive education consultant, an autism advocate, and a certified special educational need specialist from UK with nearly 2 decades of experience in this field. She has been instrumental in setting up Sarans Foundation, a special school which is an integral part of Bholaram Education Society through its educational initiative Delhi Public School, Gandhinagar. She has huge experience in teaching and providing therapeutic interventions to children and young people with specific learning difficulties. Ms. Monobina is founder for Eye for Inclusion, a support service where professionals across the globe can get together and work for an inclusive and neurodivergent world. She is a recipient of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award 2016 for her contribution to education. Monobina believes that it has now become her moral duty to spread awareness and information regarding special need among the mainstream society. I welcome Monobina ma'am as one of our esteemed panelists.
Thank you, Zeba.
And my fourth panelist for today's evening is someone with never give up attitude, Mihir Pillai.
Hello,
Mihir
everyone.
is blessed. Mihir is blessed with Asperger's syndrome and attention deficit and hyperactive disorder. In spite of these challenges, he has completed his postgraduate diploma in management in developmental studies and now working for Sense International in their public engagement department. Mihir believes that as every creation in this world is unique, he is also unique like each one of us. He has proved that any obstacle can be crossed if we have the determination to do it. Apart from having various other talents, Mihir is full of compassion, empathy, and sensitivity. Mihir, you are an inspiration for all of us and truly a voice of special need community.
Oh, thank you
Welcome,
very
Mihir.
much.
So without wasting time, let's start this eye-opening discussion, which is hardly being done on any public platform. So first of all, I'd like to start with Mr. Kumar Vikram. So India has 32.4 million differently able people, which is the highest figure globally. So isn't it a high time to start sensitizing school students about this special need through short stories, poetry, or an orientation session? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Jega Hashmi ji and Shri Manoj Krishnan for inviting me to this program. Your question has, I would say, two, three dimensions to it. One is, of course, we want that the persons with disability, they should be, better represented, and their concerns should be addressed. And second is in what manner that concern should be addressed, because as far as uh, you know sensitizing I would start with the young children is concerned, because that's the main the stage, that is the crucial stage where we are supposed to give our young children the training, the empathy to be able to connect with persons, with not only persons with disabilities. I would say anybody who has been traditionally marginalized in the society. We must have a I would say a broader approach to it, and therein it's not only about people with disability. It's also say about the marginalized classes, the backward classes, even I would say the women, and everything comes into play. Uh, the new education policy, which has been brought out by the government, has specifically, addressed these issues, and there is a concerted effort to bring on board, either in syllabus or in general, learning ecosystem, and the concerns and the representations of people with disability, and also to address issues which are interlinked in one way or the other ways, also of mental health and mental well-being. But then the issue comes of how that should be represented, because generally what happens, that yes, I am quite concerned, I want to represent, I have empathy, but then I also become quite patronizing, and that there is also that problem also occurs. I Our goal is, as far as I understand, as an individual and as somebody who reads and writes, somebody who is engaged in publishing and creating awareness. Our goal is towards naturalization of all concerns, so that nobody is sort of patronizing the other community, and that's why I would really like to refer to the exhibition that you just talked about in 2019. And it was an eye opener for all of us, because this was an idea that came to my mind, and I I'm the project in charge for the theme of the New Delhi World Book Fair. So in 2019, we came up with this special theme with focusing on the reading needs of the special readers with the special needs. And then as we started working on this concept and it started broadening itself, so then this question also came to us in our mind that is there any a special reading needs of the people with of special needs? What is the special reading needs? If I want to read Premchand, if I want to read Tagore, then the people with the special needs, they also need Tagore or Premchand, or they also need to know quantum mechanics like any other community or the any other educated person. So then ultimately what happens that more than the content of the thing, if you look at it, it is all about creating better platform, an accessible platform. And so the theme by and by it became for us a discovery to understand what are the digital accessibility tools available for reading for people with special needs. What are the innovations have been done, say, in producing braille books? What are the avenues which are available to make learning more accessible to people with special needs? So content wise, there is no special needs as such, and it's all about creating better opportunities. And I suppose that maybe as environment over a period of last, say, 2 decades, as environment has become an integral aspect of the school education system, and I'm sure that the young kids are much better off and environmentally more aware than we were when we were kids. So with the new education policy also thinking and also emphasizing on these aspects, I am quite hopeful that the future generations will be better equipped and more empathetic towards the people with special needs.
Thank you very much. And my second question is for Ms. Monobina. In the field of children literature, what could be the possible reasons that authors scarcely touch this sensitive topic, and especially the sector is highly marginalized? You are on mute, ma'am.
Yeah. I read an article a couple of years ago by a young author, Payal Dhar. I remember what she said about our society. She said that we are an overwhelmingly ableist society. And I completely agree with her. We see different abilities or neurodivergent as a lack or absence that makes an individual inferior and prevents them from having a fulfilling life as defined by our mainstream values. Along with that, most of us tend to use problematic terminology in referring to different ability, and there is almost zero integration or accessibility in public spaces like mainstream schools and higher education institutions. We have actually internalized ableism as the norm, different ability as a deviation. And of course, it seeps into the stories we tell our children. Another reason can also be that our storytellers are overwhelmingly privileged and the bias is showing. I'm sitting here today and discussing about inclusive literature, but I'm also a part of this problem. I have a flair for writing, and I write in my native language, Bangla. But as a so-called non-disabled or neurotypical person, I might not be able to do justice while portraying a protagonist who is differently abled. But yes, I think there are some authors, some writers. If I talk about Bengali literature, I remember an extremely famous sleuth character, Kaka Babu, who walks with the help of a crutch. Kaka Babu means uncle. His nephew Shontu was his assistant. This character was created by the famous Bengali author Sunil Gangopadhyay and has over 36 adventure novels in print. This is for children and young persons. I know I should not talk about any particular language because we have 22 official languages in India. But yes, there are publishers who are interested in the true representation of different abilities. The publishing director of Chennai-based children's publishing house Karadi Tales, Ms. Shobha Vishwanath, for example, is quite vocal about it. And she believes that inclusion should be deeply weaved into a story. So I think, as Mr. Vikram has also mentioned, maybe in near future there will be some representation, some visibility. There are some visibilities, but visibility and representation are not same. Maybe we'll get some true representation in near future. Who can say? Mihir is right here. So I think we will get someone in near future who can do the true representation.
I agree with you. We are all a part of this problem.
Yes, actually, we are very ableist. Our society is very ableist.
Right. So, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
My next question is for Mary. In literature ranging from biography to fiction to all the various other forms, special lead characters are not only sidelined, they are often portrayed in a negative role. So isn't it an ethical responsibility of writers to represent them in a positive way? Because if I also remember कि किसी भी में होगा कान बड़े हैं, दांत ऊंचे हैं, with any deformity or something, so they will be portrayed negatively. So unmute. Ma'am, your mic is on mute.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on this panel. It was very interesting listening to the earlier speakers and wonderful to meet them. And, Mr. Vikram, I mean, you have such power in bringing about change because of the position you hold. So that's why it's really wonderful that you're a part of this and the way that you look at things, because I think one of the important things that you said was that it's not just about disability, it's about all marginalized groups. And like Monabina also said, that we are not only an ableist society, most people who write come from a privileged background. And when you come from a privileged background, it tends to be patriarchal, it tends to be of a particular caste. So, it's women, Dalits, gender, all of these that get marginalized. And disability, of course, is a part of that. To get to your question about, should there not be more representation? The thing is that right from earliest times, even when you, and I say it with I won't go into details, but I'll just mention this, that even when you look at our religious texts, any religious text, right? Without going into names, because, we don't live in times where we could mention anything. But the reality is most religious texts portray people with disability as evil, or because of their evilness, they've become disabled. So when authors are writing about, writing their novels, they come from this society that has been brought up with understanding of our ancient texts that tell us that people with disabilities, people who have any kind of disability, are somehow bad, somehow evil, right? The other thing that comes into play as a result is, at least in South Asia, regardless of what religion you belong to, in South Asia, irrespective of religion, there is a strong belief in karma. And hence, disability gets linked with karma, right? So, and it's so pervasive, because I still remember that there was this, there is a certain, I won't take names, a particular journalist, author, very well known, he's kind of retired now, who has a son with disability. And I remember people saying, who did not agree with his political views, saying, no wonder he's got this son with a disability, that he deserved it because of his political views. That is the environment that we are coming from. So when people don't write, they don't write because they're immersed in this kind of an understanding, and there is very little exposure to people with disabilities, to people who are different. There is very little exposure. And if I've not been exposed to something, I'm afraid of it, right? And it's not just about disability, it's about other kinds of otherness as well. If I have not been exposed to people from other parts of the country, or people with other religions, or people with other abilities, I have a fear about them. I have myths that are there in my head that I believe are true, that gets permeated into what I write. And that is why people who write the way they do. And the one way to change it, and which is why I think that Mr. Kumar Vikram can have so much of power, is to change it in children. Because if you can change it when they're young, you can bring about change. And also for people with families and people with disabilities coming out and being seen as just people like everybody else, who just happen to be a little bit different, the way I am different from each of you. I have so many differences with all of you. So till that exposure does not happen, and you know how it is in our minds, and I will give you a little example, because I know that I also used to think that way. I don't anymore. So for instance, you know, Zeba, you said that Mihir, in spite of his challenges, I don't think it is in spite of his challenges. And Mihir might also be saying that. It is Mihir in spite of the barriers that the environment puts up. It is not because of his disability. It is not because of his challenges. It is because of the barriers that the environment put on. Despite that, Mihir has achieved what he has, not in spite of his disability. And that is because, you know, we are told that if you have a disability, there are things you can't do. It's not that. It's because of the barriers that society puts up, the environment puts up, which prevents people from doing things, right? You know, like for instance, I keep giving this example of, I can't ride a bicycle, despite having tried. But when I'm introduced, nobody says, oh, Mary, despite not being able to ride a bicycle, she can still drive. Nobody says that, right? So it is, and the reason why I can't ride a bicycle, because I've grown up in a city where it was impossible to ride a bicycle. I tried a couple of times and I gave up because the traffic was too bad, right? So it's people who are writing, in their heads, people with disabilities are defined by that. And with all the fears and the notions that society has stuffed our heads with, which is what has to change. And that is why. And of course, it's important for people, writers, to write differently, but they can only write if they've been exposed to a different way of thinking of people with disabilities, or people who are different in any way. It's only when they've been exposed to that, when they begun to see them without fear. And now it's beginning to change. I agree, like the earlier speakers have said, there has been change happening in India, but we have still to come across literature like, I don't know how many of you read The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which just talks about somebody with autism in a very matter-of-fact way. No pity, no charity, no tear-jerking romanticization, which is what happens when I'm writing about somebody with disability. People with disabilities are just like the auntie next door, my neighbor, the person I meet in school. They are invariably in literature put up as these special people who either make my lives better or enable me to do something good, or they make their lives worth living because they have some amazing gift. And I'll just end with one quick, like say Tare Zameen Par, lovely film. But what I hated about it was, why did that young boy have to have a wonderful gift? Why couldn't be an ordinary person with disability? I am an ordinary person who's, a Bengali, an Indian, and whatever, a Delhiite, right? I don't have any special gift. But when you have a disability, in most of our books and movies, you got to have some amazing quality to redeem yourself. And I wish writers and authors wouldn't do that. Just have ordinary people with disability. Thank you.
Yeah, we all agree with you, Mary, because these incorrect representations that portray special need character as an object of pity or sympathy, and they have the potential to cause the real harm to the society. Yeah. Sure. And my next question is for Mihir. So Mihir, what do you think, how important is the role of literature in changing the mindset of mainstream society towards the special need people?
Okay, so thank you very much that I am given an exposure to participate and have discussion among all the panelist members. So literature is basically a collection of written works of like fiction and the non-fiction stuff, in which there are dramas kind of thing, role plays, and poetries are written, autobiography of great personalities, diaries describing the best moments in the life, which spin together memories, then letters and the essays. So it's a like diverse thing, literature, and all this comprises of literature. So according to my understanding, what literature involves is creative expression of thoughts, like whatever we have in our mind we can express, then of feelings, emotions, then communication, how we communicate. So they are all part of literature, basically the information which we give to people. So in the similar way, people with special needs display creativity through various forms of arts, like music, dance, songs, and movement forms, and through various other creations. Like they have different talents, skill sets, and abilities. So according to their potential and according to their own set of caliber, they can they can go into different fields based on their own abilities and their own skill set. So the mainstream society can appreciate various forms of creativity of these neurodivergent people, just as they appreciate the creativity, uniqueness, and originality of different works of literature. As you must have seen, many mainstream society, they have been reading the literature since long time, so they have been impressed by the different characters and the folks in the literature. So in the similar way, they can get inspired by all these different, like able people and neurotypical people, like they can like appreciate their creativity and their unique abilities, and they can also promote them at a large scale, also do advocacy of them as well.
I agree with. We all agree with you, because literature is a huge means to educate and enlighten the readers. It's a huge platform. Yeah. So now my next question is for Mr. Kumar Vikram. Sir, these special needs children, they have a huge amount of determination and strength. So now we think it should be these qualities should be glorified in literature rather than showing them as an object of pity or sympathy. So please
See,
over to you, sir.
In my opening remarks itself, I did say that first is, of course, the concern that they should be represented, and then comes the complex issues of how they should be represented, and being patronizing and showing them as a kind of a object of sympathy it becomes one of the most natural way in which the not only people with special needs, even marginalized people, marginalized in any way, they are represented. But I would say that it's kind of a process which starts at least even the patronizing representation is also a representation to begin with, because first you are not represented. That is the first step. Then there is a lot of attempt, and then some great writer or some great filmmaker comes up with the idea of representing somebody. Like in this film, this famous film called Koshish, long back, this of Sanjeev Kumar, when he is deaf and dumb. At that time, the film really created a lot of impact. But when you would see Koshish now, and going by the kind of the fine actor which Sanjeev Kumar was, you will not feel satisfied with that film now, because of the entire the entire the photography and the direction and all that. But that doesn't mean that we should deny the impact which that film would have had created 3 decades back or 4 decades back. So the first step is non-representation, I would say. The second step is the representation through some kind of a sympathetic lens or patronizing lens. And then there comes a stage which is, I would say, assertion of identity. And I think we are in that stage where all the different communities, they are asserting their identities with I would say some kind of aggressiveness, and with all these ideas coming that only women can represent women, only marginalized people can represent marginalized people, only the people with special needs can represent their special the people with special needs. And this is the stage that we are all growing up with. And I'm sure that ultimately there would be a stage of reconciliation. And then when you know as you would always say, that suppose if you become so restrictive about this identity, then if you have to represent somebody who has been suffering for a disease, then to represent that person, you need to have that disease, then you can represent. It becomes a kind of a aggressive and almost a reactionary position which you take. And that's why I suppose that historically these are the processes which we all undergo. And so we should not be too much bothered about the patronizing the so-called patronizing representation, because ultimately this will also lead to better representation. It will lead to some kind of a counter narrative. So let there be first a narrative, and then only you can have a counter narrative. And I would like to give you 2 examples, which is from real life, and one from the world, which is one is a global figure and one is an Indian figure. When we refer to somebody like Stephen Hawking, when we say Stephen Hawking, very rarely we are talking about somebody who was suffering from the cerebral palsy or whatever disease he had. What conjures up in our mind is of one of the most towering scientists of the contemporary time. The man who gave us the entire concept of black hole, and his physical conditioning is not because he has become so big through his achievement that his physical conditioning is not going to impact his status. And that is the kind of I would say the goal that we all are trying to achieve, where the individual's achievements are the main thing, whether he is coming from a socially marginalized background, or he's coming from some kind of a physical disability or what, that becomes a secondary thing. Even I would like to mention a very towering Hindi writer called Rajendra Yadav, and he is one of the stalwarts of modern Hindi stories, the Nai Kahani, and along with Mohan Rakesh and Kamleshwar and Amar Kant, he's one of the most towering personalities. And since childhood, I've been reading about him. And way back in 2001, when we were doing this book fair at Patna, and we had invited him as an author for one of the sessions. So I went to Patna airport to receive him as an official of National Book Trust, and I was actually seeing him for the first time. And he suffered from a physical disability, and which I was never aware of. And nowhere in his stories, and nowhere anything written about him had ever mentioned this aspect of Rajendra Yadav. And so naturally, I was a bit shocked. Of course, I was shocked. But then it led me to realize, that the man has been able to achieve so much through his writing, that whether he has this disability, that becomes negligible. So ultimately, I would say that um, um, our main goal is to put into the foreground the abilities of an individual, rather than either, I would say, romanticizing, or even, I would say, aggressively, if I can say so, a quote unquote projecting or marketing that kind of disability of the person.
Thank you. Thank you. My next question is for Ms. Monavina. What will be your suggestion to the writers who either design a school curriculum or write children literature?
Yes, I have some suggestions, but before that, I will share something. I remember when I was young, perhaps while studying in class 9, we had a piece of prose on Sudha Chandran, the famous danseuse in our language course book. We came to know about her, and the first time in life we came to know about limb amputation. When we are in class 11, there was another short story in the literature reader book in one of the central school boards. It was Ruskin Bond's The Eyes Have It. The tale is about a meeting between strangers on a train. The journey brings together two blind people into close proximity and casual conversation. They both try to pretend that they are sighted, unaware of each other's condition. I really don't remember if I have read something other than these two. Also, I don't remember teaching children and young persons in any prose or verse that had representations of social needs and conditions. I personally feel that there should be representation of different abilities in school curricula. It not only helps with creating role models with the same challenges, but also in creating an acceptance. that will celebrate differences. Children are honest and can recognize true greatness of spirit better than adults. They just need to see more stories that sanction this truth. Authors can make their writing more inclusive by drawing attention to characters that are real and are all around us, as Mary just told us a few minutes ago. Yes, there are characters all around us, but we just don't see them. A differently able person is, if at all, portrayed in our literature or in school curriculum. They are portrayed as deviants, and their stories are about the struggle to fit into an ableist world. The protagonist's spatial ability and neurodivergence are portrayed from what the mainstream perceives as normal. Therefore, my humble suggestion to the authors and those who design school curricula will be, please do not be narrow-minded in depicting special needs or neurodiversity. What we need is actual, tangible representation. Visibility is about being seen, and representation is being given the stage and the choice of a story to tell. So I would request them to give a stage to talented writers who are also blessed with some different abilities. I personally feel that there should be representation all around, like in all the genre, in all the subjects. To some extent, we must do something. So this is my suggestion to the writers and who design school curricula.
Right, ma'am, because the concept or which we learn during our childhood, that stays with us throughout our life. I think that's the best time we can mold our young readers. We can enlighten them with the specialists so that the kids, like individuals like Mihir, they don't have to face the bullying in their school. They don't have to face the taunt in their colleges. So those young readers, they need to get sensitized, and that can only happen if the author should start writing in their literature. Yeah. And my next question is for Mary. Are the authors afraid of misrepresenting special need, or there is some more worrisome aspect to this unfortunate truth?
I don't know whether it's worrisome or not. I think I don't think they're afraid. I think when people write, they write from I understand that authors write about based on their own experiences. They also write about things that interest them, something that has triggered them, so they research on that and write on that. And I think it all comes round again to the fact that most writers have not really been exposed to people with disabilities, right? Because if my writing is triggered by my life experiences, and my life experience has not been, it's incredible the number of people who say they don't have anybody with disability that they know of. But the reality is that each one of us within our families have people with disabilities. Either they are not disclosed, especially if they are psychosocial disabilities or mental disabilities or developmental disabilities. Either they are not disclosed, or they are not, nobody gets to see them. I have been surprised sometimes to realize that people I know have a child with disability or a family member with disability, people I know very well. And after years of knowing them, quite by accident, I get to know about it. So it speaks volumes about how we view disability, right? That we don't want to take them out. How, one of the commonest disability in our country, two of the commonest, one is, of course, people with autism, it's not even that evident. So I'll put that aside. But amongst physical disabilities, people with mobility impairment is really, really high. How many did you see today when you went out on the streets? Did you see any at all in the last 1 week or the last 1 month? So if my experience is completely devoid of any exposure to people with disabilities, when I'm writing, I'm not really thinking about them. They don't matter. People with disabilities don't matter to most people. And for that, to an extent, all of us who are connected to disability in some way are at fault as well. We have to take our people out. We have to expose them. People have to see. We have to stop being ashamed. Most often, families are ashamed even for somebody who's deaf. They're actually ashamed and they try to hide it. And so it's not that authors are deliberately not writing. It's what we who are impacted with people with disabilities are doing. I think a lot of it depends on us who are in this whole thing as family members, as people with disabilities themselves. We have to ensure that the world sees people with disabilities, are aware of them. And when somebody asks me, why is your son doing that? I don't cringe and say, why are you asking me? Instead, I say with great comfort, oh, he's doing that because he has autism. It's a kind of disability. If I don't have that comfort, how will people ever get to see them, know them, be aware of them, be exposed to them, to write about them?
But here somehow I believe does the writer need an exposure to write about something? Their thought and their creativity that goes beyond our imagination. They are writing about fiction which is not at all present. Nobody is exposed to Harry Potter or Cinderella. They are writing about the horror. Nobody is exposed to that, but still they are using their creativity in their literature.
But if I may say something, I have friends of various kinds of disabilities, but honestly, after all these years of knowing them well, even now, I cannot really know what it is like to be on a wheelchair all day. I really don't know what that experience is.
Very true.
You cannot imagine it, right? You can't fantasize it. And it's taken me years, and now I understand a little bit more, even for my friends who are blind. It's very hard to really understand what it is. And I mentioned the book, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. The person who's written that book is somebody who actually works with people with autism, and therefore has and it's so real, the whole book. And that's because the exposure he's had. So writing about disability, you can, of course, I have to say one more thing. I agree with you in one aspect. I could write about, and this is something I think I mentioned to you once in a conversation, that I could write about somebody with disability in the character that I'm writing about. It could be a neighbor that he sees now and then. Then he doesn't have to have a deep understanding. He doesn't need to. He can just talk about this person that he sees, right? It could be slipped in as just a character who's there in my environment, which is what disability should be all about. Just like I have an elderly gentleman 3 houses down who I see now and then, so I know what it is like for somebody who's really old. Similarly, I can write about somebody who has a disability who lives maybe 3 houses from me. That people can do. For that, you don't need to have a deeper understanding. To write in passing that the main character took a cab and the person who was driving happened to be somebody who has a physical disability, maybe doesn't have an arm. To write about it as an incidental character, because everything doesn't have to be the main character, right? And so that can be done, of course. So in a way, I do agree with you too.
But it will give give that neurodivergent or disability visibility. It will not be the true representation. So, since we are talking about the representation, it will not give the true representation. That's what I believe. Right, Mary?
Yeah, but if they just write about somebody they see in the neighborhood, or the
Yes.
person who I realized that he didn't have a whatever.
So that will give the visibility.
Yeah, it'll give visibility.
Right.
At least the visibility will be there, because the visibility is not there even in our society. There
Not
is no
there.
visibility.
Not at all. Not. So this is also important. This visibility is also important to begin with, and then maybe the true representation can come.
Yeah, that's something Mr. Kumar Vikram mentioned, that at least now there is mention in literature, and that too is very important.
Exactly.
Mr. Vikram, would you like to add something? Yeah.
I was just I was thinking on this line that the society has to uh, create an ambience together for the family which may be having a person with a disability to come to terms with in not only within the boundaries of the house but beyond the boundaries of the house. And that's why it is believed that a writer who is writing would be having basic sensitivities to understand and to embrace the dynamics of dealing with all kinds of characters, because I mean it's this is a debate uh, which is I mean it will not have any end, because for example, we get into the author gets into the psychology, into the mind of the different characters, and then we can start if we become so realistic, then we can start questioning that also, that how you can understand what is going into the mind of Clara, or what is going to the mind of Rakesh. How can you write that? So the world of imagination, which is the world of literature, the world of even cinema, it allows you that kind of freedom. And that is why that famous term which Coleridge used, suspension or disbelief, that suspension or disbelief has to be there when you are reading a book, when you are watching a movie, or when you're watching a theater. So if the writers start introducing characters from different backgrounds, and I will keep saying that I don't want to focus on people with disability community, because it's like branding. It's not a community. Mostly, if at all there is a community, then it is based on class, and it is based on gender, and it is yes, for a country like India, it is based on caste, it is based on religion, but there is no community as such of people with disability, because everybody is connected in one way or the other with the different parameters which make you an individual. So I just want to say that first, the family which has got a member with a disability, that family should have that kind of confidence, and the society should be able to provide that kind of confidence to the family to come out and to to deal with the issues in a very natural way. And maybe I would say that representation of of such individuals and issues through cinema and through film also helps in one way or the other, even if that representation may not be a very apt one, or maybe very romanticized one. For example, that film which drew rave reviews, that Hindi film called Black, but there was criticism also that there were a lot of romanticization of this visual disability. But but you should understand the impact, maybe if it is trying to have on a scale of 10, you can say that it did create an impact of 3 or 4, not if not 8 or 9, but it does create. So I'm all for authors trying to explore, going beyond their boundaries, and trying to bring in the characters from various marginalized communities, and to give us literary works which are more, I would say, which connects us more to the day-to-day reality of our society.
Thank you for your valuable words, sir. My last question is for Mihir. What can be done through literature to bring a general awakening amongst the public?
So, as you know, literature is presented in various forms like poetry, drama, stories, etc. So, poetry, drama, and stories can be used to create awareness on various social and global issues which are arising in the world right now. For instance, drama, poetry, dance, role play can be used to create awareness on various social and global issues like poverty, hunger, global warming, human rights, gender inequality, climate change, child labor, and also issues concerning people with special needs. Like they are deprived from certain sections of the society, and there is no so there's no place for their upliftment and empowerment. So this point should be highlighted according to me, and we should also include autobiographies and biographies of neurodivergent people in our literature, so that readers can be sensitized when they read about them, and this in turn can help neurodivergent people to be part of the mainstream in the society. So they should be inclusive education, and they should be included in this uh, society, as Mr. Kumar also mentioned earlier. Like if certain section of society is not part of literature, then it conveys the message that those who have been excluded have lesser value in the society. But special needs group is very unique and diverse in its own way according to their abilities, skills, talents. So, but fictional characters like Cinderella, Harry Potter, Superman, ghosts, and devils have made a remarkable place in the literature, to that extent that series of movies are being made on them. Like there are many series of movies which have been coming since past 2 decades, and literature has a potential to change the mindset of its readers. It can be act as a behavioral change which can change the attitude, perspective, beliefs, so that it can evoke a positive change in minds of many people.
Well answered, Mihir.
Very nice to see.
Very nice to say.
Thank you.
So now with this enlightening session, we are coming to an end. And I would like to thank all my experts who are actually working in this field. And I'd like to conclude the session by reciting a few golden words written by Helen Keller. The best and the most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. So I hope this panel discussion shall turn out to be an eye-opening session for thousands of authors, poets, publishers, editors, and readers. So thank you very much, Mary Barua, Mr. Kumar Vikram, Monobina, and Mihir.
Thank you
for giving us your valuable time and giving us an intriguing ideas.
Thank you, Zeba. Everybody, Mary, Vikramji, and Mihir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
all the
everybody.
panelists.
Thank you so much.
I wish you all good luck, and we will come back again.
Thank you.
Chalo,